Yes,
Okay.
and it just said meeting is now streaming on YouTube.
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
I'm gonna allow everyone in now, okay?
Okie doke.
Here we go, people.
And I guess we're talking already.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, Lord.
Well,
Here they come.
yeah.
Oh, yay. Looks like a lot of people we already know.
Yeah.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good. Hi.
How many people do we have?
Here's the Sugar Plum Fairy.
She's
Well, we're
she's-
being, everybody's coming in right now.
Yay, yay.
she'll be here in a minute.
I see her.
Hello.
There she is.
Antoinette.
Jazz.
Hi.
Rescue.
How's everybody? How y'all doing?
We're doing.
Great.
Fantastic.
It's been a busy day. Ooh. Busy weekend, busy week, busy month.
This is tap dance weekend, right?
This is tap dance weekend.
Yeah. Smart. And it also, well, we'll tell you all about it. This is part of our.
I think we should wait. Let's wait for a few people to arrive. All the late people.
Yeah.
It's on time.
It was so funny the other night. I was doing one of these events, and you know, people have different levels of participation and technical abilities. Busy month. I was watching somebody's ceiling fan the whole time.
Well, we'll tell you all about it. This is part of our.
I think we should wait. Let's wait for a few people.
It's Marion.
All the late people. Hi, Marion. Yeah, well, come on. You're doing good, Marion. Funny the other night I was doing one of these events and you know,
It's repeating.
people have different levels of
Did you hit record and play?
technical abilities. Busy
You must have hit record.
watching somebody's ceiling fan the whole
Hit
time.
stop recording.
We'll tell you all about it.
We are recording this, right?
Yeah, but you just hit play.
Hey, hello, Princess, are we recording? Hello? Ground control to Major Tom.
Yeah, they're sending another astronaut up.
Ground control to Major Tom. Boy, people just keep coming in. Okay, cool.
Yes, yay. Getting ready. Where is that Mimsa?
She's right here.
Oh, yeah. Mimsa, hi. She's looking at me. Yay, Mimsa.
Well, maybe we should start.
Yeah.
Oh, people are still coming in. Why am I letting people in? I can let people in for some reason.
You're a co-host.
Are we recording this, Princess?
Yes.
Because it doesn't say it's recording here.
We are also live on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
But they just heard Tony and Mercedes playback of what they had just said. So maybe it was recording and then it hit replay.
It's fine. It's taken care of.
Okay, so
Well, now it says it's recording. It wasn't before.
Right.
well,
Thank you, Antoinette.
can we
Yeah.
start or what? I mean, we're
Yes, let's start.
We're continuing actually. Okay.
Go ahead, Mercedes. Well, I think you should start.
You okay? Thank you. Now we are talking to you today on May 24th, and May 24th happens to be an important anniversary because it's the anniversary of Duke Ellington's death. It's his death day, which is usually a very sad thing, but we are trying to celebrate it with information. So we are informing everybody of the circumstances of the times, the life and times of Duke Ellington, the people he worked with. And funny thing, big bands always worked with both ballroom dancers and tap dancers. And that is why Mr. Tony Waag is going to be here to give you some more information. So you're going to have so much information from this presentation. I don't know any words other that rhyme with those two words: presentation, information, congregation. I don't know. Anyway, take it away, Tony.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, because tomorrow is National Tap Dance Day, actually. In reality, National Tap Dance Day has become kind of National Tap Dance Week, almost month. And so just a little bit about National Tap Dance Day, May 25th. It's Bill Robinson's birthday. He was born on May 25th, 1949. And
49?
wow, you know, I mean, that was a long time ago already.
It's got to be 29, isn't it?
Pardon me?
Bill Robinson. Not 49, 19.
Oh, no, he was born in 1908 or something like that. Sorry. No, in 49, what the heck? Now I'm confused. 89, in 1989, we created National Tap Dance Day. Oh, you see, 89's already so long ago. Anyway, there's Bill Robinson right there. We're celebrating his birthday because, listen, he was a leading figure in the world of tap dance. This is, he coined the phrase, the copacetic, everything is copacetic, and that's why the Copacetics formed their company in 49, hello. And that is kind of a lineage of, there they are, that's Honey and Face and Cookie and Bubba and Buster.
Yeah, wow.
Left to right. But the original Copacetics, interestingly enough, was a group of musicians and tap dancers, and a very famous musician, in fact, who was the first president of the Copacetics is Billy Strayhorn, who we all know worked with Duke Ellington.
But he didn't tap dance.
Well, not to my knowledge.
No, he was not a tap dancer.
Yeah, but you know that supports the whole interesting thing that, you know, tap dancers consider themselves musicians, and musicians often are prone to tap dance. I mean, look, there's Max Pollock there. He's a musician and a tap dancer.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're celebrating National Tap Dance Day in a way. We're trying to give some information about other events that are going on this weekend. Currently, I mean, I've been on Zoom all day with different tap dance events. And then I just wanted to mention that because of the marriage between jazz music and Duke Ellington being such an important figure and a big, strong supporter of tap dance, in what was it, 2017, we inducted Duke Ellington into the Tap Dance Hall of Fame, the first musician to be inducted into what we call the Tap Dance Hall of Fame, which, by the way, was an event that was suggested that I create by Greg Hines. In 2002, we started that. And so for obvious reasons, we're also celebrating that marriage of tap dance and jazz. Or you might want to talk actually a little bit how he didn't really even call it jazz music, but maybe you should.
Okay. Well, he didn't like when people tried to put him into a corner, back him into a corner, and make him aware or to tell people what type of music he played. And they consistently called his music jazz music. And at one point, jazz was a word that was associated with a very dark side of the world. And so in order to put it in musical terminology and actually in historical terms, he said that he composed American music. And if they wanted to refer to jazz, they should know that jazz is a product of America. It is created by American musicians, and because it consisted of sources from a lot of different countries, but when it came to the States, it was a whole nother thing in and of itself. It traveled from Africa all the way up, and the slave ships, some slaves jumped ships. They got off, or they jumped ship. Some of them jumped ship near Argentina, and they brought their tango to Argentina. Some of them traveled up the South America, went to Brazil. They brought their samba to Brazil. Some of them went up to New Orleans, and then you get the New Orleans type of jazz. Some went to Kansas City, and you have a Kansas City type of jazz. Then there's Chicago, and then there's New York. And all these different capitals of the world have a different type of jazz, but it's all supposed to be jazz. But he wanted to call it America's folk music because it was made in America.
By the way, Bill Robinson was born in 1878.
Ah,
These are things, you learn, you research, you look at it and you go, wow, and then you forget it, and then you come back. And I have to say, this has been an interesting day for me because I really have had to make sure that I understood what was going on over the weekend. And when we actually we're going to show a few graphics and stuff that promote some of the events that are currently happening today and tomorrow and beyond. It was funny because I had to go online and try to find some of this information. Or some of it was easier because it was sent to me, knowing that I should know that it's happening and that I could be helpful spreading the word, so to speak. But do we want to, should I read the joint resolution or anything like that? It's kind of dry, but.
no, I just say we could say we're together. Are you talking about our?
No, I mean the actual document for National Tap Dance Day.
Oh, yeah, sure. Why don't you do that just for the record?
There's a lot of whereas.
Whereas is?
Okay, whereas the joint resolution to designate May 25th, 1989 as National Tap Dance Day. Whereas the multifaceted art form of tap dancing is a manifestation of the cultural heritage of our nation, reflecting the fusion of African and European cultures into an exemplification of the American spirit that should be, through documentation and archival and performance support, transmitted to succeeding generations. Whereas tap dancing has had a historic and continuing influence on other genres of American art, including music, vaudeville, Broadway, musical theater, and film, as well as other dance forms. Whereas tap dancing is perceived by the world as a uniquely American art form. Hello. I love this part. Whereas tap dancing is a joyful and powerful aesthetic force, providing a source of enjoyment and an outlet for creativity and self-expression for Americans on both the professional and amateur level. Whereas it is in the best interest of the people of our nation to preserve, promote and celebrate this uniquely American art form. Whereas Bill Bojangles Robinson made an outstanding contribution to the art of tap dancing on both stage and film through the unification of diverse stylistic and racial elements. And this is the last whereas, May 25th, as the anniversary of the birth of Bill Bojangles Robinson, is an appropriate day on which to refocus the attention of the nation on American tap dancing. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled that May 25th, 1989 is designated National Tap Dance Day. The president is authorized and requested to issue a proclamation calling upon the people of the United States observe such a day with appropriate ceremonies and activities on the judiciary October 26th, but legislative day September 18th of 1989.
Yay!
Proclamation.
What president was that?
Bush.
Aha.
George H.W. Bush signed that document.
Okay. We don't know if he's a tap dancer, but I mean, at least he had some type of, you know.
Hey, you never know what good things might come out of things, you know.
Hey, yeah.
So you come crawling back to Broadway. Remember they mentioned Broadway?
Yes, but I wanted to ask a question.
Uh-oh.
If anybody has seen what looks like a manhole cover down in front of the courthouse, which was the beginning of the 5 Points District, which somehow supported a lot of entertainment involving tap dancers. And this was a whole thing. I did this research when I was doing a show called Juba, which was directed by the great Sheldon Epps. And I found out that, well, one of my sisters who just passed away, she was a judge. And when I was visiting her, I found this manhole cover. And it used to be the beginning of Manhattan. And there were very big entertainment groups that were not in the people of color were not allowed to be on stages. So they did their acts out in the street. And then there was a big competition between a guy named John Diamond and a guy named William Henry Lane. And John Diamond was an expert in Irish jigs and reels. And he was also dabbling in buckboard dancing, whereas William Henry Lane was an excellent buckboard dancer, and he also knew a lot about Irish jigs and reels. So they wanted to pit these people together and like a boxing match, and it was like a boxing ring that was set up for this competition. And they had a contest between the two of them, and William Henry Lane won the contest. And this was a very big deal because here's a person of color who won over an Irish guy, you know, and they described the John Diamond as a dipsomaniac, which meant he drank a lot, you know. So, but there was a very entertaining way of introducing tap dancing to the public, and to take it out of the minstrel show type of entertainment and make it an art form where individuals could excel and develop and trade steps and things like that. But if you ever get a chance to go down to the courthouse, just look for that manhole cover.
Remember the corner?
It's a big metal plate, and it commemorates what was known as the 5 Points District.
Yeah.
And it was like the most amazing slum in the history of the New York City history. Yeah. It's where freed Black slaves and Irish immigrants coexisted in for a long time, but in the mid 1800s is what we're talking about. The tap dance, depending on what you're talking, I mean, it's complicated, but once you're coining the phrase tap dance, yes, it was Master Juba and some of those characters that started dancing, and then it morphed into minstrel shows, became vaudeville, went to Broadway, Hollywood, concert stage, and so forth. That's a very brief history of the development of tap dance, but there's a lot of history and a lot of very interesting and pithy moments in history that start at the Five Points District when writers, people have actually started commenting on what they started calling tap dance. So yeah, it's like anything. You can't really explain it in one sentence. And if you're really interested in it, there's all kinds of stuff woven in and out of that, and there's a lot of opinion about things. I mean, for example, Bill Robinson was very much more of a Irish kind of style dancer. I mean, he was very up on his toes, and he wore wooden taps. He didn't have metal taps. There's a whole history of taps, metal taps. When did that happen? And it kind of parallels a lot of showbiz and Broadway and vaudeville and all that.
And because of that technique of people tap dancing up on their toes, it was very much like the Irish jigs and reels. But when they started to drop their heels and make also sounds with the heels, then it became much more of a development into what we see today.
That's correct. I mean, even though like the Copacetics, for example, they felt Bill Robinson was a great example of success in our culture and in Black culture especially. I mean, he exemplified the idea of somebody that is positive and doing something very big in the world, but they also at the same time identified John Bubbles as someone that introduced jazz rhythm tap, and everyone really in our kind of rhythm tap field, John Bubbles was the one that added the heels and started syncopating things and paralleling some more contemporary jazz type music into bebop and all of that. So yeah, there's a lot to be said about all of it.
Yes.
Should we talk about tap dance on Broadway?
Yeah, but you know what's really interesting? I would rather learn about the history of things, of the states, of government, and so through music and dance than through dry dates and things like that. Because
there you go.
It's much more interesting, and it gives you a sense of how important music and dance is in the development of these different communities and different neighborhoods, and what happens in the interaction between people. And it's kind of smooths the way, and quite frankly, I'm hoping that it's coming up to keeping us going through this period of time, and get us through what we're going through now. There are things like the Louis Armstrong Music and Medicine Foundation that are also very big believers, as was Ornette Coleman, that music had a healing power, and that through music and the arts, we can get through anything. So just keep playing your record, radio, whatever you have. I'm still not, I tell all my friends, present company included, that I am very computer stupid. So I'm your basic, turntable person, and I'm still having my cassettes and everything. So it's just a matter of hooking into the music to get you through. Anytime you're feeling blue or any other color, you just turn on your music.
Well, I was at an event, a Zoom event earlier today. Oh, Tanya, who's here, asked a question about, what's the best way to continue onward with the idea of preserving the not just tap dance, but the arts. And I pointed out that it is still a challenge to convince people that the arts are not, especially dance, or at least including dance, are they can heal. They are healthy. They're also social. So there's all kinds of ways in to a larger picture. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm fascinated with tap dance and interested in the history of tap dance, but I'm also more interested in the philosophy that seems to have been handed down to me through the copacetics, Brenda Buffalino, Gregory Hines, these type of people that are actually talking about much more than tap dance. They're talking about a lifestyle, and they're talking about the arts as something more important than just entertainment or whatever. I mean, so what you're saying is absolutely true. I mean, but to convince other people that that is important, and I think it's hard for people to wrap their brains around it because they have no data that proves it or whatever. But don't we all know in our hearts that music and dance and theater and the arts make us feel happier and more productive and part of our culture and part of our community and all those things? I mean, that's what we're really talking about, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
I have a question.
Hi, Antoinette.
Hi. When does African boot dancing come into the framework of tap dancing?
Well, that was one of the things that was brought over by the slaves in the slave ships. And when it also provides you not necessarily with a shuffle or breakdown from the front of the shoe to the back of the shoe, but it's a stomping a process and a stomping sounds with your body and your hands as well. And that rhythm is also used, and those kinds of features are used in what we are calling updated tap dance as well. You can find a lot of elements of flamenco dancing also. You can find a lot of the Russian dancing, the Slavic types of folk dancing. All of those types are found in tap dancing. Heel clicks, things like that are all now incorporated in what we now are calling tap dance.
Right. I mean, African boot dance was something that the miners started doing. Again, I mean, if you're talking about a percussive art form, that's one thing, because we have percussive art forms all over the world. And so, I mean, you could make the case that the cavemen invented tap dance. I mean, because I think we all, throughout history and throughout the world, people like to celebrate or move and express themselves socially. So hence, in every culture, you've got percussion going on, you've got music, you're celebrating your either maybe even ritual situations, absolutely, have contributed to the development of all these art forms, whether it's flamenco or African boot dance or Katak dance or what have you.
But if you really want to make yourself crazy, you can do this discussion that we used to have at Juilliard. Which came first, movement or sound?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Wow. Well, that's kind of like birthing a child or something.
Chicken and the egg.
Yeah. What the? Very esoteric, Mercedes. Very, very, very.
Yeah, well, we were esoteric up in Juilliard those days, you know. Those days are far behind me.
Oh
And
my
wouldn't it-
gosh.
I just wanted to add here that wouldn't it be true that movement preceded sound because movement preceded language or communication?
But we're talking about also nature, like movement of the trees and the wind. Did the wind come first or the movement? Yeah, I mean, the wind made the trees move, but this is, you know, this is a very, this can make you crazy.
I
You
see.
drive a person crazy.
Yeah, I was thinking that we were just discussing, you know, and also I guess that would be a whole other philosophical conversation was dance for communication?
Mhm.
It sure, I think it always is. Anything that in the arts is really communicating in a sophisticated way, in a development of ordinary body language or ordinary speech language. It's a step above, and I don't think that the arts have been given the proper props it should be here in the States, because the emphasis on the States and the money in the States, first it goes to sports, you know, and then they consider the arts after, as an aftermath. So I really don't feel that anybody has really explored the importance of the arts in people's lives and in history.
Now, can we talk about Broadway and tap
Yes,
dance?
okay, let's go quickly to Broadway.
Okay, before I say anything, let's
Okay.
talk about No No Nanette.
Oh my God.
Mercedes was in No No Nanette.
Yes, where was the No No Nanette? No No Nanette was my first show when I came back from Miami Beach after being a June Taylor dancer for 7 seasons on the Jackie Gleason show. It was
Hey.
a tumultuous time in my life because, as you know, Miami Beach is in the South. So, yeah, there we are. And this is a picture of us backstage in a dressing room and No No Nanette. And in the center, that gentleman in the center is Busby Berkeley, whom everyone knows. In the movies, he's the one who created all of those overhead shots with people making kaleidoscopic things. When we were doing that with June Taylor, that was our rest period. When we got to lay down on the floor and make all those designs, we had a chance to breathe. And when we were doing Nanette, they asked me to make some choreographic contributions, and so I did the kick line and things like that. And it was a very successful show. It was the first show. Tony and I were discussing as to which show was the first to employ, which on Broadway, this is like Broadway proper, which show was the first to employ tap dancing. And I believe that it was No No Nanette, although 42nd Street was one of the things we discussed. And then after that, of course, we got Bring in the Noise, we got Black and Blue, we got Jelly's Last Jam, and then more recently, After Midnight. And
well, wait, let's not stop there. We've got your other Broadway show, Play On.
Play On, yes.
Sophisticated Ladies, did you mention that?
No, I didn't.
Jelly's Last Jam.
Yeah.
Black and Blue.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Tap Dance Kid.
Tap Dance Kid, yes.
My One and Only.
Oh, yes.
Anything Goes.
Yep.
Dames at Sea, George M, Holiday Inn, Crazy for You. You know, then you start talking about also the Broadway shows. Oh, first of all, I guess one of our debates was the early productions like Blackbirds of 1928, which was on 42nd Street at the Liberty Theater, which made Bill Robinson a star. That's when he did his Stair Dance. And by the way, that theater is still there.
Yes.
It's like people don't even know it's there. It's not functioning as a theater. It's a beautiful space. I've actually seen it. I've been in there. Um, Unfortunately, they made the stage kind of a well, they put the kitchen on stage for
There's the one-man dance.
there you go. This is from Sophisticated Ladies.
And it was also in After Midnight. They did the one. That's why I called After Midnight Son of Sophisticated Ladies.
Yes. So Blackwords of 1928, he's not exactly on Broadway, but it was a Broadway show. Hello. I mean, come on. And then there were all these other things that were going on earlier before, the curtain kind of came down on tap dance in the mid 50s. And then there are all these other, part of the success of a lot of Broadway musicals, I think, is due to the fact that they had some tap in it, because the tap dance was always something that brought everything up a little bit in terms of excitement and energy and everything. I mean, there's a whole other list of like Thoroughly Modern Millie and a Chorus Line and On Your Toes and Me and My Girl and Follies and The Boyfriend and Bandwagon and Sugar Babies it goes on and on and on. And then you can talk about off-Broadway things too, like Stomp and so tap dance has been a big part of Broadway for.
And it also it's also gone through like a big development, because everybody looks at the faces of tap dancers and usually they're smiling. They're not. Except now, tap dancing now sometimes has become very dramatic, and they're messing around with different tempos. Look at Max Pollock, Max, wherever you are. Hi. He does some fabulous things with rhythms, not only taps, but his body. He's a percussionist, and he uses it in all kinds of moods, happy moods, sad moods, loving moods. It's not just a smile and happy tap, because if you're doing 8 shows a week, you're not going to be happy all the time. Of every week for especially a long running show. I mean, you're happy because you got a job, yes, but it can be really hell. And I remember those years from Sophisticated Ladies, where I have, as a souvenir, I have 2 total knee replacements and a total toe replacement to prove my, I don't know what, longevity. And in spite of anything, you just have to go on, So you have to really appreciate the commitment that people on Broadway and tap dancers. It may look flawless, it may look effortless, but there's a lot that goes into it, and it's not just because they are happy.
Hey, listen, because you mentioned Max, I just noticed in the chat room that he wanted to add something about the boot dance. Max, would you like to?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I just wanted to add something that probably not so many people are aware of. I've worked with a bunch of South African boot dancers, who literally learned it in Soweto and stuff, and they told me that apparently when the art form was developed in the mines when they were working, one reason why they are slapping, one reason why they were slapping their boots is, number one, they were slapping their boots because that was loud and that was a way to communicate through the long mine shafts. And it was a better way to communicate than yelling, because yelling would consume too much air down there. And so they used the percussion for one as communication down there. And the other thing that really, really made me stop and say, what? Is that there was a contingent of German immigrants in South Africa too, not just Dutch people. Yeah, it was mostly Dutch, but there were also Germans there in South Africa in the late 19th, early 20th century. And you will not believe it, but apparently the miners would sometimes see the Germans do their slap dance. Okay, where, you know, I'm Austrian, so I didn't grow up doing this, but we, you know, like my people do this thing. Yeah, that's, you know, much less rhythmically hip, obviously. But the concept apparently made sense to the miners, and they're like, hey, wait a minute, that looks like a good idea, you know? So I don't know how much there was really an exchange, you know, but apparently there was a little bit of an inspiration from the way the Germans were slapping their thighs and stuff. That gave, you know, gave the miners the idea of developing this into a fusion dance form. And, you know, for me being a German speaking European, that was really eye-opening. You know, I had no idea. I had no idea. And of course, you know, boot dance is one of the most amazing percussive dance forms I have ever seen. And it's so hip, and it so beautifully expresses the African way of moving and the African way of singing, the South African multi-harmonic singing, all that stuff, you know, it had all added on, you know, as it was growing. But it just made me happy to hear that, you know, the Germans had a little bit to do with it, maybe a little tiny bit. So I just wanted to throw that in.
But you're right about especially when you said communication. That's the key. It was used
absolutely
to communicate, you know.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. Just like tap dancing, you know, and the drums, you know, ultimately it was a way to speak.
That's why they
Thank
took,
you.
they took the drums away from the slaves.
Right.
They could not communicate with each other here in the States.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
Niles, Niles, you got something to say?
Wait.
Wait.
There, we just unmuted you, Niles.
I can't hear him.
No, I can't hear him either.
Okay, wait, Niles.
Wait.
Whoops, where'd he go?
Oh, he has to unmute himself.
That's right.
Hey, Niles, can you hear us? Try unmuting yourself, I think.
Is he still there?
I don't know. He was there. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Because, you know, Kevin mentioned a production of Black Broadway that was produced by George Wein that you were in at Town Hall.
Yes, and the copacetics were in it.
Yeah, you want to talk about that a little bit? Oh, Miles is back.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, no, Niles, go.
Yes, I just read yesterday in Stepping on the Blues about gumboot that it actually resurfaced in America due to the historically Black college and universities and their Greek fraternities. And there's like this whole concept of blood memory where like we're remembering things that we probably never learned. So it was so interesting to read about how the Black fraternities have sort of remembered gumboot dancing and sort of upgraded it into step the American step teams and things like that. So that was really cool. And I just love all you people. So
well, we love you, Niles, because you show up for everything.
Yes.
You're always there. It's great. It gives me great hope and
yes.
and that this will continue on because I mean, Niles, come on, how old are you?
20.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Good for you, Niles. Keep doing the research. Keep tap dancing.
Yes.
Dancing. So Mercedes, Black Broadway.
Oh, Black Broadway. Boy, I mean, there's always trauma connected to these things. Now, in Black Broadway, Honey Coles came to me to ask if I could choreograph a section for these 4 ladies who were supposed to be representing the Cotton Club ladies in this segment. And Gregory was in it, Bobby Short was in it, the Copacetics were in it. And then Honey Coles had a heart attack and was in the hospital and couldn't get to the rehearsals to do the staging of the entire show. So it was like a communal type of situation. And I used to go to the hospital to visit him and say, what's happening, honey? What do you want in this? What do you want to do here? And what do you want here? And so he was still choreographing and directing from his hospital bed. And then I would go back to the show and to the rehearsals and interpret it. And it was a really, it was an incredible situation because it was very historical, and the people who were in it were, I have a picture of them all on a staircase together. And it was like never to be done again. I mean, I think that the concept was taken up in other things, but this was not even a regular Broadway show. This was at Town Hall, and Town Hall is not considered Broadway, but you know, it was an amazing experience. And I think we performed for about a week or 2 weeks. I'm not sure what kind of a run, but it was unusual for something at Town Hall to have an extended run, but it did. And yes, it was part of the jazz festival, George Weems Jazz Festival.
And wasn't that like, what, 87 or something like that?
I think so.
I mean, that's when Honey had his heart attack, I think,
Yes.
in 1987. Yeah.
So that was after Sophisticated Ladies.
Right. Bobby Short.
Yeah.
Loved Bobby Short.
Well, Bobby Short loved Duke Ellington. That's why that statue was up there on Fifth Avenue. And
there you go. Yeah, thanks to Bobby Short, he raised all the money, right?
Yep. He created a foundation specifically to raise the money, and it took him 14 years. And we celebrated those 14 years by having 14 pianos in front of the space at Lincoln Center, and they played some music, and we honored Bobby, and Phoebe Jacobs was there, and it was a tremendous thing. You should have seen those trucks loading the pianos. They were all grand pianos, 14 grand pianos with 14, including Aaron Deal was one of the pianists. I mean, you name it, Steve Ross, everybody you knew. It was an incredible outdoor event. And as you know, I am not prone to outdoor events. I don't even go to your boat rides. I'm not outside.
We're gonna get you on that boat.
I'm not going.
We're gonna blindfold you, and we're gonna like put you on the boat.
Not going near that water.
Hey, listen, let's talk about our collaboration. You know, we if anybody, there's the statue right there. Isn't that cool?
And if you see purple, that must be that the jazz lady to the rescue.
Oh, there she is. There she is. She's so subtle in her
and her purple, the royal color.
We're talking about
Antoinette
Montague here, who's also on the board of DECFA, the Duke Ellington Center for the Performing Arts, which is Mercedes' organization, and then my organization, the American Tap Dance Foundation. We've been collaborating now for years.
Yes.
But we're on each other boards,
yes.
And that in itself has been quite interesting. We just keep passing the same donation back and forth, and and speaking of donations, we, you know, Mercedes is very shy about this, but we do need and we rely on donations, large or small. And I'm talking about DECFA, not, I mean, yes, of course, the American Tap Dance Foundation also, but this is an event that's really spearheaded by Mercedes and the DECFA board. So as a board member, I'm asking everybody, in fact, we could, I mean, Michael's here too, our board chair at the moment. Michael, do you want to say anything? I mean, we can certainly send people to our new and improved website where you can make a donation, but perhaps Michael would like to actually say something about DECFA and fundraising or whatever.
Well, gee, thank you very much, Tony. I appreciate this opportunity.
Yay!
You know, the Duke Ellington Center for the Arts is a key organization that is dedicated to preserving the legacy and the heritage of Duke Ellington. Mercedes spoke very eloquently with respect to what American music is and Duke Ellington's vision of what American music was. The Duke Ellington Center for the Arts really is a nonprofit organization that is trying to do something that is unique, that is important, that has a long-lasting effect. Certainly, these are difficult times, and if people can find it in their hearts and their minds to make a contribution to the Duke Ellington Center, they can simply log on to our website at decfa.com. There is a button there where you can make a donation, and please do. There is no donation that is too small, and there is certainly no donation that is too large. So please, please do what you can, and we together we will survive, and we will prosper, and we will find ourselves on the other side of this hill in a way that we never anticipated, because we don't know what's on the other side. But I think we're going to make it through, and things will be better perhaps than ever. Thank you, and thanks for this opportunity, Tony. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure.
And if you wanted to know the identification of the mysterious woman sitting beside him, that is the sugar rum fairy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
Oh, rah, rah.
that's one of
Well, also you can go to www.paypal.me/DECFA. But it's easier to just click on a button. And we want you to see our new website anyway, because another board member, Mary Dove, is here in the Zoom room, and she really, with the help of Miles and Princess, has improved our website and made it much more functional. And thank you, Mary. Do you want to say anything? She's not coming to light, or is she? Oh, put her on the spot.
You put me on the spot.
I'm sorry. Are you in your pajamas?
I'm not, but but here you go.
Hey!
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, check out our new website. It's decfa.org, and we hope that you like it, and we'd love your contribution. And I'm so grateful to be part of the board. And it's wonderful to be here.
Thanks, Mary.
Back to you, Tony.
I love the whole Hollywood Square idea. You know, I really do like this format. It's not great to teach tap classes on, but it certainly is a nice little community kind of a forum way to, I mean, I had a board meeting for my own company the other night. We keep having meetings, but it was interesting, right? Mercedes, there were people that made the meeting that could never make it before because they live, in LA or even my sister is on my board and she's never been to a board meeting.
And we've been constricted here with quarantine and everything. I'm seeing people like Tracy Bonner and Sandy Durrell, people I haven't talked to in, I don't know, dog's age. And even Dina Kay, who is in my building, but we have certain restrictions in my building. And I have to give her props for her responsibility in creating the ever popular, ever famous, ever wonderful Miles Puritan. So I just want to, tell her that I she has no idea how valuable he has become. And I first met him when he was in the carriage as a little baby, and now I still can't believe he's walking and talking, but he is.
Yeah, actually, hello, kudos. Absolutely. It's been brilliant, the work that's done from the heart, contributing to the organizations. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Should we open it up to some question and answers?
Well, do you want to mention our hopeful future concerts at Birdland?
Yes.
We could have them look out for the news, because we are ready, willing, and able. Our little company, who very successfully did some other themed concerts at Birdland. The last we did was that the Sacred concert? Because the first one we did was the Nutcracker. No, not the Tap Ellington was the first. I forget now which was the first one that we did. But in other words, the next one that we are planning to do is after the Ellington themed album called Such Sweet Thunder. And that is Shakespearean Suite. That's the Shakespearean Suite. So that's proving to be very interesting.
Oh, we were so on that, and then we got
Yeah, we got the
we got the hook, you know.
Yes.
But we're going to be back. We're going to figure that out. We also have an event coming up in June.
Yes.
On Father's Day.
Yes.
And that we're kind of what's the theme there is my favorite Ellington tune, I think, right?
What is that one?
June 20, is it June 21st?
Yes, my favorite Ellington tune.
Yes. Hi, Princess. Thank you.
Yes, everybody who's performing is doing their favorite Ellington tune, and we're going to be welcoming a new facet. A ballroom dance couple is going to be added to the roster. So we have, you know, we're different than some of these other Zoom things. We present dancers as well as vocalists as well as instrumentalists. So you never know what you're going to see when you tune into what we are offering.
Well, for that concert, we have AC.
Yes.
We have Frank Owens.
And Karen Calloway Williams.
Karen Calloway, Vonda, Antoinette, Jason Curry.
And
Marion. I'm looking at Marion walking around there.
And the four rabbits.
We never leave out the rabbits.
Don't leave out the rabbits.
Don't you dare leave out the rabbits.
No.
Did I say Jim Zoller?
Sharon.
Zoller, Ty Stevens.
Yes.
Yeah. So like a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
And that will be fun. I'm looking forward to that. It's at 4:00 on June 21st. Yeah. So now let's open it up to some questions.
Okay, yes.
Oh, there's 10 new messages here. It's hard to keep up with all this.
Do we write the questions or raise your hand?
I think you could raise your hand, actually. There's not too many people involved here.
All right. Well, consider my hand raised.
Okay.
Who's this, Yvonne?
Yvonne, yeah. I have my picture mute because there's activity going on behind me. So
Okay.
I just wanted to, could you please repeat, Mercedes, the name of the dancer who won the 5 Points dance battle? I would love to learn more about that dancer.
It's William Henry Lane.
William Henry Lane.
And he was then, after he won, he was called Master Juba.
Master Juba. Thank you so much.
And even today, in the terminology, when people are really not flawless, but when there's a high caliber of artistry in tap dancing, they're called Juba.
Wow. Thank you.
I have an interesting anecdote on that because I was on I gave a talk, I was interviewed with the UK Tap Festival this morning. And I was pointing out to them, because they always, they complain about their syllabus, and they're always like, oh, can't we be more like you, the American this and the American that? And I'm like, listen, you need to investigate into your own history. I said, Master Juba came to London more than once. He married an English woman. He died in London, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Get your history together. I mean, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
There's always been a parallel between the London.
However,
voyage.
I have to blame them. I don't know whether blame is the right word, but when I am into ballroom dancing now, and the English were the people who created the different categories and the different levels. And so, and what is that? Blackpool in England, there's always this big ballroom events, and they are the ones who started this. And it boggles my mind because I don't know how they came to have enough knowledge to categorize different Latin dances. Like my category is samba, rumba, cha-cha, paso doble, and jive. Now, why did England have, this, and then there's mambo. I mean, and then there's, the other things that are coming from different countries, but yet it was up to Blackpool.
Somebody muted you.
What? So it was up to Blackpool, England to put them in categories.
Well, and that's what I was referring to, is that a lot of the modern day dancers and stuff complain about their syllabus being very limiting and watered down and all of that in terms of tap. And so it only goes to show and makes sense that they would have problems with the ballroom and everything too, because you can't really categorize beyond category.
But they have specific vocabulary for each one of those categories.
I know, and it's a problem.
Yeah, the steps that you have to do for samba in the different levels, and every level has a different set of steps that carry you from bronze to silver to gold.
Right. Well, that's what it is. I mean, in competition, there has to be little, markers of some sort, and somebody has to make those decisions. But unfortunately, I think it does end up being kind of watered down to like A, B, C, D, and E.
Yeah.
Instead of A plus, A minus.
Yes. Yeah.
So, questions? Anybody else?
If nobody.
Oh, Antoinette has a question.
How do you, as artists, keep it fresh for yourselves year after year, decade after decade? How do you refresh yourself? How do you keep your health up? Because no health, no scaffold. You can't dance, you can't perform, you can't do anything. But what advice do you give to all level of musician about how to keep it fresh for yourself and how to stay healthy?
Well, I feel that dancers, especially, are the specialists in knowing what their bodies are doing. They are in tune with what's happening with their bodies more so even than some medical doctors. Like I find myself going to the doctor with an entire page or two of notes for him or her to let them know what is happening before I, get my examination, so that they will know how to examine. Especially now, I'm furious with the medical industry these days, because they're only allowed a certain amount of time with each patient, and the hell with what you feel like and how you communicate with them. And I always am advising people, when you go to the doctor, take a witness with you so that you can have notes, write notes, and make sure that you understand everything that they're saying and you follow the instructions. Dancers are used to following instructions, so they're very good about that. But still, in this world of new medicines and all of these regulations that are being imposed upon the doctors themselves, you need to come in there armed and with your ammunition.
I would add to or my thoughts about renewing. You know, I'm finding even in this COVID situation, I've got some new ideas because it slowed me down. It slowed me down to the point. Well, I even actually got the virus for a while, and I got sick for a couple of weeks. And so I would at this point sort of suggest to stop. You know, it's interesting, even in tap dance, Brenda Buffalino has said to me more than once, stop, just stop. You know, like I'm talking about just in terms of dancing and rhythms. Make some space between the sounds. It's about the sound, it's about the quiet between the sounds.
Yeah.
And so I also feel like when I go home meaning Colorado, because I was born and raised in Colorado, and I you know, Mercedes, I know you, but I need to go to the river. I need to go to nature and climb up the mountain, and I need that nature to revitalize myself and let my brain rest a little bit. New York City is very unforgiving that way. You know, we're in a rat race, and we want to be. I mean, that we're trying to do something, right? But boy, do we get caught up in it unconsciously. We are on the treadmill, and so even now with this COVID, I've had a lot of new ideas. I unexpected ideas because I've had a little break here and there.
Well, there's also the pressure of age, and there's also the pressure of color, because it wasn't until recently that people of color were being given some of the chances that they have now. There was such a big deal being made over me being a June Taylor dancer because I was the first person of color. And now you wouldn't think twice about it. You turn the television on. I mean, I told a story before about in my time when I was growing up on Convent Avenue, people would yell and scream when on the television there would be a person of color like Sammy Davis Jr. or Nat King Cole, and they would yell out the window, "Black folks on TV." And everybody would run to the television and turn their televisions on because it was a rare occurrence. And the guy who was a tap dancer with, Arthur, yes.
Arthur Duncan, yeah.
Yes, Arthur Duncan. That was exceptional. And people were just mesmerized by the fact that he made it, you know. And nowadays, I don't know if a lot of people know about that, or the feeling is that you have dancers or athletes, you have a certain amount of time available to you when your body is going to respond to your commands. And so you need to work at it, you know, a lot, but then you need to also give your brain a rest, because it's, as Tony was saying, it's a constant here in New York. I mean, I'm used to it. And so now you see why I am a nervous wreck. I was born and raised in New York, and I talk to the pigeons, you see. So there's lots of different things that happen when you have to acclimate yourself to your surroundings.
Still not a lot of Black people on TV.
That's true.
And I remember when we saw certain folks come on, including Mercedes, it wasn't that we were Black at that point. It was colored people on TV. And you yelled it off the balcony, and everybody who was outside ran and went inside. So, and now you don't see a lot of Black people on television. You don't see a lot of Hispanics on television. You have to go to their stations. But, you know, now that we have the advent of this new technology, you can make your own television show. You can make the Duke Ellington Center for the Arts television show, or the American Tap television show. There's possibilities. And Google is now starting a whole nother platform to give people an opportunity to be seen. And while the bell curve is flattened and everybody's sitting down trying to figure out, it's time for the people who haven't been anything less than marginalized, peek your head up every so often in between the break. Peek your head up. This event today is very great to hear you and Tony and history. And, you know, otherwise we'd be outside at a barbecue or, you know, doing the hully gully someplace up and down the highway. So thank you for sharing yourselves today. And I'm going to get off soon. We've got our Music on the Inside program today that's on. So 6 to 8. So we hope to see you then. By the same token, it's been a privilege. And I'm very proud of you, Tony, and Mercedes, and your organizations.
Well, thank you. Are you still doing your radio thing on Sundays?
It's tonight at 6 o'clock. It's not a radio thing. It's a show, an hour show. So we'll be, Winnard Harper's outside with his band in front of his house doing music. So we'll go and tape him for 5 minutes. And it's called Music on While We're Inside. And my radio show right now is on hiatus because of the virus.
That's what I was wondering, whether you were able
I'm happy to be off the highway like I've never thought I would be. So it's been a real privilege, and teaching inside, etc., and talking about our great Duke Ellington with all my students. So it's a privilege. And maybe next semester you and Mercedes will come on and talk to them for a minute via Zoom. Hopefully we'll be back out of the house though. That would be nice.
Yes, yes, of course we will.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Antoinette.
Thank you. God bless. God bless, Merce, and all the Deckford
inspiration.
family. Sharon, our Sharon. All righty.
Blessings.
Catherine, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah, hi. I do have a question, and thank you so very much, Mercedes. I actually have that flyer, and I have it signed by everybody. And that were there. I had the copaesthetics flyer, and of course I've known Tony forever and ever. I wanted to ask this. I'm kind of in a situation where I network mental health consumers to try to find and show positive outcome using the arts in health as healthcare. And it's always difficult because there are rules in government and there's laws, but I know the disability platform pretty well, from blindness to mental health, a lot of that. And I'm wondering, between Tony or yourself, I noticed that there's interns that you train. However, I'm wondering this, because this I don't know. Would you be considered a training site? Are you a training site? Do you offer interns or potential interns classes, or is it considered an educational training site, a site?
Well, DECFA itself is an educational 501c3. But if you ask, everybody will know Tony and Princess, and they all know that I hate teaching.
Okay.
So, I would rather talk to you, and I can, but teaching.
Okay.
Anybody who asks me to so-called teach, I end up choreographing.
Right.
So I go and I choreograph the class, and it's not like, and also speak about history. So we learn a little history, we do a little choreography. I'm not teaching.
Yeah. Talk about the board that you're on for musical therapy for the ill.
Yeah.
That's the Louis Armstrong Music and Medicine Foundation.
Yeah, I saw that.
Working out of Beth Israel. Yeah.
Okay. Got that.
And Dr. Joanne Lowy is the head of that.
And Catherine, I think we've started this conversation more than once that, I kind of go in and out of it. We're not really, we don't have our staff in terms of education programs has not been trained to that degree. but I'm totally open to it. And we do, upon occasion, have a handful of students, younger people that come in and have some special needs, and we try to do our best to incorporate them into our regular programming. In terms of internships or something like that, I'd be totally open to talk about that, because that would be the quickest and easiest way to get to that level of participation. So we'll, hopefully, Catherine, once we get back into the studio, we'll continue our conversation about
Yeah, I'd
that.
like
Because
to,
I am interested in that. I think it's important.
I would like to introduce you to the director of the board that I'm working with, because I want something magical something good to happen between the arts and healthcare, people of all levels, because it's definitely true. The arts they do cause positive outcomes.
Yes,
People's
I've
lives
seen it
change
happen. Yes,
in like, yeah,
I've seen it absolutely change people physically.
yeah.
And there are doctors or people in the medical field that do know enough to send their clients, the children or whatever, to certain arts programs, knowing that they will improve
Yeah, all
their
right.
situation, either mentally or physically.
We'll converse.
So it's important. And it is something that I just feel bad that I haven't been able to get there yet. It's just, it is something I'm interested in, though. My mom was in a wheelchair for the last 12 years, no, more than that, the last like 16 years of her life. So I'm close to that issue in terms of physical limitations. Can't really tap dance so well in a wheelchair, but I'm not talking about the wheelchair. I'm talking about challenges, physical challenges, and mental health situations. So anyway,
Yes.
I'm really curious, Sandy Durrell, Theater Pizzazz. Tell us a bit about your organization here, because I'm not familiar. You have to unmute yourself.
Hi, Tony.
Hi.
Hi, Mercedes.
Hey.
Hey. You and I, Tony, actually met years ago, and I think
I know your name.
Yeah, and I think it was through Mercedes, actually. Theater Pizzazz is a entertainment publication, and we cover everything theater and cabaret, and do a lot of interviewing and reviewing, and now my writers are still doing it, and so the publication keeps on rocking and rolling with content every single day. So that's what's going on. And I also started a campaign recently, well, 2 months ago now, of performers sing for fans, and many Broadway and cabaret celebrities have weighed in and sent me their quote homegrown videos, and they're all up on the site now. And it's gratifying to see that, because it's just another way to be able to keep spirits up for everyone, for fans, and it's an ongoing process. But there are a lot of people that I feel that you should maybe be approaching, who could be part of your organization, who are, I'm sure, great fans of Duke Ellington for sure. And I don't know if you've been in touch with them, like Vivian Reed.
Oh, Vivian.
And T. Oliver. Do you know T?
Yeah.
And they've all made videos for me as well. That's why they're the people that come to mind immediately. So they would be great people for you to have, either as part of your programs and what you're doing. Because as you keep adding new entertainers and performers into your presentations, it just attracts more and more people who are now fans of these, new performers who you bring aboard. There are other organizations, I'm sure you know, that have programs that go into the schools. So did you say that you do offer a program like that? I don't know, but it's.
Well, we're working on doing that actually, because it's a no-brainer. I mean,
It is.
to put together Duke Ellington, musicians in a program that Mercedes has already designed. She's got about 30 productions that are just kind of waiting to happen,
it would be
or we've already done. And in that context, we could go out immediately. So I'm very interested in that as well. And I've done a few tap related type of versions of a school program. But, and you can tie in the actual instruction. And Mercedes, yes, you just show up. You don't have to teach.
No, well, we did go to a grammar school here in New York that's called the Duke Ellington School. I don't know why, but it was a Duke Ellington school. We went there and it was a classroom situation. And I talked, and it's just that for the arts, you need, visuals to go with your speech, or else people are going to fall asleep, Especially
well, yeah, but I'm kind of like taking this off of the American song. There's that cabaret, American Song Society, and they actually send people to schools to perform the Great American Songbook, the music of, to keep it alive, to be able to teach young people, this is the music that we want you to know about. It's not all about hip hop and pop and, so
is that Michael Feinstein?
No, that's his own thing where he does that competition.
Okay.
By the way, he sent me a video. He's up on my site.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Andy, this sounds really great. I'm
happy to speak with you more. Maybe we can do that separately, just to kind of roll through some ideas, and if I can be of help, I'm certainly willing to do that.
Well, listen, we need help. We need all the attention that someone like you can actually focus on both our organizations in terms of, as well as I do, the publicity situation now is very small. I mean, there's very little being written about, and we really do need we need you to.
Whatever it is that you're going to plan to do, of course, it should be put out to. You have somebody who's doing your media and your press, correct?
Yes, I mean it moves around a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's the important thing, just to be able to make sure that everything is out to all of the sites and the the important sites where people get their information about music and the arts.
Right.
I just maybe a time for me to have a happy shout out to Kevin McInerney for joining us, because we haven't had anything since the absorption of career transition for dancers into the Actors Fund. We really haven't done much of anything, but we keep in contact with each other through emails and text and stuff like that. So I mean, I can't imagine the entire industry that's affected by this. It's so incredible, and this is a good time to educate people as to how complex this business really is and how many people are affected by this. Otherwise, I mean, from the dancers at the Joyce Theater to the singers, the cabaret artists, everybody who's involved, people just don't really, the audiences really don't even know what's involved. And it's not that they need to have that, but I think that they would appreciate it more if they knew how much was involved.
Right. Hey, listen, we only have we can go over, but we did plan on ending at 5:30. And I don't want to forget that one of the original ideas was to talk about some of the other National Tap Dance Day events coming up. And I did I did my best at collecting a few images and stuff. So I just thought I'd share my screen and show a few things that are going on, especially coming up tomorrow, National Tap Dance Day. So let me just walk us through this a little bit. Uh-oh, can you see this? Yeah. Well, of course.
Start from the beginning.
Is that not the
We're
beginning?
at the end. That's the end.
Oh, it went to the end again. Okay. Thank you, Princess.
You're welcome.
This is not double trouble, but triple trouble. This is starting with our event. Hello. And then, of course, our logos. But I mentioned Chloe and Maud. I was a part of an event earlier today, and they have all kinds of stuff going on tomorrow if you're interested. You can log on to chloeandmaudfoundation.org or dctapfestival.com. It's called the Tap into Joy, and they got all kinds of stuff going on. And this was something else I did today, which is going on again tomorrow, the Tap Dance Festival UK. And our friend Anthony, who's a phenomenal tap dancer and presenter, producer, director, choreographer, OperationTap.com. Check him out. He actually did 17 performances in the last couple of weeks in his home, 45 minutes, combination of performance, choreographed and improvised stuff. Brilliant. Dormisha, Derek, and Jason started the Tap Family Reunion a couple years ago. It's been going on for several days, and there's a lot of events tomorrow, maybe something even tonight. I grabbed this off the internet, and I need to actually do some sleuthing myself, but it's called Tap Dance International, and there are some events going on. Anthony made an announcement for National Tap Dance Day. He's got a few things going on. If he doesn't, he will lead you to other things. And this is the West Coast Tap Festival online. Today till 6 p.m. Oh, looks like it might be over now, soon. And these are our friends in Chicago. Brill Barrett and a host of other tap dancers are doing a 2-day tap extravaganza. So you can check him out. If you need more information about any of this stuff, just email me and I can give you the URLs. And this is the Southern Rhythm Collective's online tap festival for tomorrow. And this goes tap dance everywhere. Check them out. They're pretty impressive. They've got things going on. And the Mile High City Tap Festival has a celebration tomorrow, May 25th, with a whole bunch of people. And then I threw this in because we just love DeWitt Fleming Jr., who just had a baby. Congratulations, DeWitt. But he recently recorded a beautiful album of tap dance at Dizzy's Club at Lincoln Center, and I just want to promote his music because it's wonderful. And then that's that.
That's us.
That's us. And you know, I noticed Jay Allison here over here. Do you have anything going on you want to talk about, girl?
Yeah, we are doing something in Philly.
Yay.
We're hanging outside in our 6 feet boards so that we can do any kind of celebration together safely now that the city is going to yellow alert. So we are going to have our masks on. We're going to be outside of the dance studio.
She's
at the
Philadelphia,
corner.
by the way.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. We'll be in Philadelphia at the corner of 25th and Girard Avenue. That's directly across the street from Girard College. And we'll be at the corner. You can't miss us. Black building in the background will be spaced out in front of it. We're going to take a couple of hours and trade off lessons for, about an hour, and then jam for the other hour, videotape ourselves live so that others can enjoy something in Philadelphia that's happening with the tap dance, and recognition and acknowledgements of all of the people that we know in Philly, our teachers, our camaraderie, whatever we can pull together. We don't feel many will be there, but watch me be wrong because I said that. But we're not expecting many. We're not expecting many. But we don't.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you're doing something, because you're a mover and shaker in Philly, and I didn't know whether you were doing anything or not. And I'm so happy to see you here, and I love what you do anyway. And I think you do it your way.
We do. Hey, that's how we do in Philadelphia.
Hey, there's a long, long, interesting history of Philadelphia tap dancers, and you're carrying it on, and you're doing a good job, Jay. So have fun.
Glad to be a part.
So I don't know, Mercedes, should we wrap this thing up? Did we forget anything, everybody?
Well, just to have everybody look out for us when we're coming up again, and we want to ask them to tune in for Father's Day, which will be, here on the screen, on the lovely screen, and to keep crossing your fingers about when we will hear for our next concert at Birdland.
Yes. Oh, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do want to end with Mercedes. So I do want to mention that in case you didn't know, we normally do Tap City in July. We're going to do our 20th anniversary, but we're postponing that till July of 21. But in place of that, I do have some surprises. So save the dates, July 3rd through the 10th. There will be some online programming that I'm going to do for in place of Tap City. It's not going to be Tap City. It's going to be other things. And yes, back to DECFA in terms of June 21st at 4 o'clock. Same place, same bat channel. Mercedes, you want to sign us off with something pithy?
I don't know. I was trying to think of a story, and I think everybody heard the story about the bus and the Creole bus, because I had found actually a picture of Barney Bigard.
Barney.
And Barney Bigard was a reed player in the band. And I don't know. Should I tell the story again or should I not? I don't know.
Hey, why not? We love stories.
Okay, I'll tell the story again. The band was touring through the South, and the usual schedule was that after the band arrived, they threw their luggage in the lobby of the hotel and went straight away to the venue to rehearse. And then after the rehearsal, they would come back to the hotel, and then they would be left up to their own devices as to what they did until time for the show that night. So this group of, I guess it was mostly the reed section, the saxophones, and Barney was included in that group. And they went to see the town. They wanted to explore the situation and just pass the time that way. So they got on this bus, a city bus, that was going from their hotel to a downtown hotel or the area that was shopping area, because they love to bring back souvenirs from wherever they were. But in this time, people of color had to get to the back of the bus. So Barney, as you see what his picture was, he was from New Orleans, and he was kind of, was very adamant about his personality. Johnny Hodges, the same kind of personality traits happened to reign in the saxophone section. You could say that about some of the the couple, the people these days, I won't mention any names, but they are prominent saxophone players and they have the same kind of attitude. But in any case, getting back to the story, the group of guys, they got on the bus and they went straight away after they paid their fare to the back of the bus, except for Barney. Barney sat down exactly opposite the bus driver. And the bus driver looked at him like he was crazy or something. And the rest of the guys came and got Barney, trying to persuade Barney to come to the back of the bus with them because they knew that they would be getting into trouble if they sat in the front of the bus, because that was the rules and regulations is where they were supposed to sit, in the back. So the bus driver got up and because the guys couldn't convince Barney to go with them. And so finally they said, well, we're going to the back of the bus because we want to make the gig tonight. We don't want to get into trouble. So, but Barney said, no, I'm staying right here. So the bus driver got up and he went over to Barney and he said, you are supposed to be going to the back of the bus. And Barney said, no, I'm sitting right here. And the bus driver said, well, your friends are sitting in the back of the bus. You're supposed to be going with your friends to the back of the bus. And Barney said, no, I'm going to be sitting right here. And the bus driver once again said, look, don't cause any trouble. You go to the back of the bus. But Barney said, but I'm Creole. And the bus driver really know what he was saying. And he said, yes, I am Creole. And the bus driver said, I don't care how old you are. So I never did hear the rest of the story. I don't know whether Barney got up and went or not, or because some of these drivers, they just would stop and they wouldn't go anywhere until things went their way. But I think maybe Barney got up and went to the back of the bus. So that's the story. Ba-dum-bum.
Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah.
Tony, we can't hear you.
Tony, are you there?
I'm here. Sorry.
All right, you're back.
that. Should we end with the copacetic song?
Yeah.
By Charles
Tony,
Honeycomb.
Tony, can you hear me 1 second before you do? I just want to thank everyone for joining in. I think it was wonderful that we had this participation. There is a chat on, if you could join in. If you have any, if anyone who's watching has any comments or has any suggestions about what we've provided today in terms of what they liked or didn't like, or if you'd like to see something in the future, we do have these programs that Tony and Merce were talking about. So we're always open to suggestions. I know we got a few. So please feel free to make whatever suggestions and helpful guidance. We're very open to that and we would be very appreciative. Right, Tony?
That's right. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I sang this earlier because it's National Tap Dance Day. And I promise we don't have to do it every time we get together, but this time I think it's appropriate. Right, Jay? When you feel blue, the best thing to do is tell yourself to forget it. Life's a funny thing. It's really great when you sing, and everything will be copacetic. Never look down, chin up and don't frown. Don't let life get pathetic. Show a happy face to the whole human race, and everything will be copacetic. Greet your fellow man with a wide open hand. Make your neighbor's burden lighter. A friendly hello everywhere that you go is bound to make your day much brighter. When you feel sad, pretend that you're glad. Smile and you won't regret it. Laugh your cares away, tomorrow's another day, and everything will be copacetic. And everything will be bum ba da 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 da, and everything will be bum ba da 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 da, and everything will be copacetic.
Bum. Woo.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank you, Mercedes. You're beautiful.
Love you guys. Take care.
Princess.
Well, yes, thank you, Princess, Miles, Mary, everybody, Michael, our board, our boards, the world at large. See you next time. See you in the funny papers, as my grandmother would say.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes. Oh, for heaven's
Mm.